Shall we go not very many miles,
Yeah,
but probably the closest two clubs in the
yeah,
league, isn't it?
yeah.
Let's go to QPR and not quite Frank Lampard's derby, but Steve McLaren's
Queens,
QPR. And
Queens
I
Park
think,
Rangers.
Harry, I think you like him, don't you?
Well, he's doing. He's the right man in the right job. We talked before about when we were looking at Swansea. I still have a theory that a manager like Mick, were in a club that is in some degree of chaos, is the perfect man to go in and just put some order on the world. And looking at McLaren, the cliche has always been he's not a great manager, but he is a brilliant coach. Well, if ever a team needed coaching, McLaren looks to be the perfect option. Um, he's the fans were saying we've got a good team, but they will be more organised than last season. They were under Holloway. They played very adventurous football, but sometimes lacking a bit of structure. And what McLaren has done is he's come in. They have got their hands are tied in terms of purchases. The only player they've got in is a defender, centre back, Tony Leitner, who has come from Union Berlin. He was a free transfer, and Tony Leisner, I should say. Forgive me, pronounce him
You've been
correctly.
on too many
Um,
Norwich forums, haven't you?
it's exactly,
Yeah.
it's actually that's a good point. Yes, I was on. Yes, that good Freudian slip. That's what it was because I
A
spent all day
Sloydian
yesterday over
Fripp.
a Slodian Fripp. Exactly. Um, so basically, one of the things you often see with financial fair play is that the squads tend to, as players go and not get replaced, they become small and they can become unbalanced. But I'll just run through the team because McLaren is doing what McLaren does best. He's put them into a 4-3-3 shape, playing on the front foot where possible. So you've got Sully Kai, who I know we were linked with, the
Hmm.
Palace lad. He's playing at right back.
He played in
Leisner,
the League Cup game
he
last year
did.
against us. He
He
came on.
did.
Yeah,
That's right. The Frank de Boer when he was yes, that was a great game. God, we scared them. It was
we
really fun.
did. Yeah.
It was good fun. Lynch and Bidwell. That's the back four, and then in midfield he's kept Luongo and Scowen, but he switched Freeman in one of the preseason games out to the left because Freeman's actually very good with the ball, but I think he might get a bit more space out there. But and where in Derby they had Chris Martin, they had the big focal point number nine. They've got Matt Smith, and Smith is as number nine as you'll ever get. But playing off him, they've got two young who are worth mentioning because I think we're going to hear a little bit more about them. Eberici Easy is a number 10, 20-year-old number 10. He played on loan last season at Wickham, and he's been playing in the number 10 role. He's playing in front of the back, in front of the two midfield, Luongo and Scowen, but playing off Smith. And where Smith gives you a focal point, Easy gives you. He's quite technically good. He's quite tricky, and he doesn't need a lot of space to be able to exploit it. Whereas out on the wing, you've got Bright Osei Samuel, and again, he's another player. He's playing on the left. He came from Blackpool last summer, but he's offering them pace. So with what limited resources he has, he's created another 4-3-3 team with balance, but with creativity and a team that can play on the front foot. And if you look at the defenders, there's a concern that the back line is quite slow, apart from Kai. But the problem with Kai is he might be quick, but he's often halfway up the pitch when. So that is a concern they have as well.
On
Who,
paper, Harry, the
go
thing
ahead.
I'd be
Yeah,
the thing I'd be worried about straight away, and I know you and I agree that those three, Sco and Luongo and Freeman, were a nicely balanced midfield. They were a
they were.
nicely balanced midfield if they had wing backs giving them a bit of insurance either side, because like you say, Freeman doesn't particularly get about. I would worry. I think they're a better midfield in a 3-5-2 than a 4-3-3. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bit of extra insurance on their shoulders,
Mm,
those guys, and that would just be my first
yeah.
my first thing that I'll look out for with QPR.
Yeah, it's the balance thing again, isn't it? The problem with Freeman, and I picked this up from a lot of Bristol City fans, apart from the fact he always used to score against us and nobody else, which is a minor point irritation. He tended to flatter to deceive a little bit. I think that he had, some of his set pieces. He seemed to promise a lot. There'd be clever movement. There'd be a pass that nobody else would have seen, but it often never actually amounted to anything that was
They get
actually
good
going to
good numbers last
control a
year,
game.
Harry.
Yeah. Did he? I apologise if I'm wrong.
I think
But
I think there was
I'm just going on what the perception was
possibly
from.
double figures for
Yeah.
assists.
Well, then I take that back. My sense is that McLaren, I thought he was trying to put him out wide. By moving him with width, you get more space,
Yeah.
and therefore I felt and him sitting with Bidwell sitting in front of him as well, because Bidwell tends not to be so much of an up and down fullback. He's more of a
He's a
yeah. Go ahead.
no, he's kind of like a little marching. He's very kind of thick. So what's the word? What's the word? Stocky. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It doesn't
yeah,
look like he doesn't look like a fullback. They're normally sort of slimmer and a bit smaller. He looks like a centre back, but he's too short. So
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, it's interesting. It's my thinking is that McLaren has looked at what he's got, and he said, okay, because they are hamstrung, they can't buy anybody because of the financial fair play judgment that came out last week, that they can't actually buy. What they can get, they've got limited funds, if any. I think there was a story I saw that Freeman he would happily sell Freeman if it freed up money for him. I saw a figure of 3 million quoted, but that could just a piece of press speculation. But the idea being that they've limited room for manoeuvre now, but they have no room for manoeuvre at all in January. So they're actually not allowed to, they're not allowed to buy anyone. So they've got to do quickly, and they've got to do what they've got. So it's a question of nursing them through the season. And they feel McLaren is the right person. There was one poll which I spotted on one of the forums which said it was 95% of them predicted that they will finish somewhere between 11th and 20th. None of them are expecting relegation, but none of them are expecting a top half finish. It was quite a remarkable bunching to see that level of
Mm.
expectation. No top half finish, but they will be safe. He's going to get them to 15th, get them to 16th, just get this season out of the way. And on the financial fair play, I think most of them now they accept. One of them said, "We all have our opinions on the fairness of financial fair play, but the undeniable truth is we broke the rules we'd signed up to." And I think for them now, let's move on. Let's just get this out of the way. The judgment. I've spoken to fans from other clubs who felt that may have, it may have been quite soft, but there it is. And as I say, and at least the legal precedent has been established. So it's interesting to see. As I say, none of them are expecting to tear up, they're not expecting to tear up any trees. I do worry again if they have any injuries. The players they've lost, some of them are old players retiring or moving on. Nedum Mulnua, James Perch, Jamie Mackey's gone to Oxford. Um, who else is there? Alex Smithies was the other big one, and Jack Robinson, of course, went to Nottingham Forest, the left
Where did
back.
Smithies go?
Smithies
Harry.
Smithies has ended up in Cardiff. He's ended up in
Ah,
Cardiff.
because
Yeah,
that always used to
that's
get brought up when you used to say,
yeah,
"Oh, we think Bialkowski's the best in the league." The QPR fans would
yeah.
pipe up and,
Yeah.
say
He
how
played.
highly they rated
He
Smithies.
played for Huddersfield for years before he moved to Queens Park Rangers.
Yeah.
He was with them for an age. The other person who I do keep a gentle eye on him out of affection is J. Emmanuel Thomas, because he's been released, and at the time
Was he on
I think he
trial at
played.
Billericay or
He
something,
had
or
he played for
Basildon
them.
or something?
He played for them. There was a friendly he played. He played a one-off game. I think was it against. Can't read my handwriting. He played one friendly, but he's 27, so you'd hope, but I don't know. It's because we all know with Jet, the West Ham game. We all have
Hmm.
memories of what he can do. He could cause absolute mayhem on a pitch on his day, but that was the issue. But we wish him well. Hope he
And I think that
he finds a
Harry,
decent club and so
I
on.
think there might be a bit of a similar sense between QPR fans and Ipswich fans here, where as Ipswich fans we're saying a similar finish and some more sophisticated football. I
Yeah,
suspect QPR will accomplish a similar finish with some more sophisticated football when you go from Holloway to McLaren.
McLaren. Yeah, I think so. He'll get them organised. He'll get them. He'll get the. He'll put a good shape on them. But just as equally, a bit like Birmingham, if they have an injury crisis, if they lose a few players, they've it could be. You would that's the fear. As I say, as the route march kicks in. Yeah.